Hello, thank you very much for coming to Mechanics Institute Library. I've been a member of this institution for many years, and it's safe to say that the genesis of the essays that I've written about this subject and also this panel first began back here in the 800 section when Peter Plate, a local novelist who also comes here, and I waved at each other across the room over the period of a month or so, and then finally decided to speak to each other. And because silence is preserved here, we went back there into the 800s, which is where people go to whisper conspiratorially. And we did that. And the question emerged, what do you think about the impact of high tech on books? And we began to whisper louder and louder about it. And so that was the beginning of my current preoccupation with this subject. And I wrote an essay for Evergreen Review, as is mentioned. That's Barney Ross's magazine, by the way, Evergreen Review. He was the publisher of Grove Press. You know, he championed Henry Miller, he championed D.H. Lawrence, and William Burroughs and such in the Supreme Courts and won. So the matter of free speech was of great concern, is of great concern to him as well. He's in his 80s now. The magazine now only exists online. And he is the one who asked me to write an essay about the subject, since I was talking about it all the time. He said, why don't you write something? So I'm not going to read anything, I'm not going to read an essay in full or anything like that, but recently I was asked by Huffington Post to do this column for them, and I wrote an essay called Of Kindles and Crematoria. And I want to warn you that some of the things, some of the perspectives that I obtain by do strike people as strange and extreme. I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor, and I bring into play the vocabulary of the Holocaust a great deal in discussing the subject. And why is that? Well, when I look back to World War II, it was the case that at the Nuremberg trials, Nazi jurisprudence, Nazi ethics, Nazi philosophy was put on trial and hung. However, Nazi attitudes towards technology was not. Not only was Nazi National Socialist perspectives on technology not hung at Nuremberg, but during this period of time when Nazi war criminals were being tried, at the same time American officials were recruiting members of the Nazi technological apparatus to our own local industries. And so consequently, we ended up driving Volkswagens. Werner von Braun, who was recently featured in an issue of Newsweek, John F. Kennedy became a hero in our culture. He put his, I believe his face was put on a postage stamp. And a lot of these perspectives became our perspectives. We brought to the table optimism, feel-good, you know, attitudes about life, and you know, positivism, and that was wedded to these kinds of perspectives. And now we are at a place that I think of as an Orwellian juncture, where every search that we make on the internet leaves a trace, where everything that we choose to read is monitored, is somewhere recorded, where our private lives have become extraordinarily public, where actually privacy no longer exists. I was just speaking about this with Oscar before this occasion, and you know, it's not that I believe that there are nefarious parties in high tech who are conspiring to control all of us and, you know, shove us into gas chambers. But I do want to point out that neither was there in the 1930s, and I speak as the son of a Holocaust survivor who's been very involved with the subject of the Holocaust, neither was there in the 1930s among many National Socialists this feeling like we're going to put Jews into gas chambers, we're going to control and dominate society to the extent that eventually they ended up. It was something that occurred by slow degrees and small steps. Many of them were idealists. Many of them actually intended well. And look where it ended up. So I wonder if we don't need to ask of the world of high tech to begin to take account of what it's doing and to hold it accountable for what it's doing to the book, for instance. And this is where I want to really launch the discussion, because it's my main concern at this moment, books. You know, I'm aware on a daily basis of reports coming in about the condition of the book industry, that it's in demise, that high tech is appropriating pretty much the literature of the world unto itself, disappearing these texts into this invisible place, the internet. There's a scholar named Barry Sanders who wrote a wonderful book called Unsuspecting Souls, in which he traces the condition of the self from the 19th century to the current day. And he notes that in the 19th century, the self split off from us. A life split off from life. We suddenly possessed this thing called a life. And suddenly we were in a kind of dialectic with this thing called a life, in which the self, the life, was moving farther and farther and farther away from who we were and disappearing. We actually reached a place, a point in our society here, vis-a-vis the life, where no one knew anymore what life means. This was of such concern in the 19th century that, have you heard the expression, hell's bells? Has anybody heard that expression? Do you know where that expression comes from? Hell's bells. Or that rings a bell.